Hello, sweet soul, and welcome back. This week we talk about the topic of feedback. Let's settle in here for a moment. Take a deep breath with me. Exhale, let it go with a sigh. Yeah, do a few more of those if that felt good. Sound effects tend to make things better. So, when you think about feedback, what comes up for you? How does that feel in your body? Is that something that you're eager to hear? That you're eager to give? Is it something that makes you cringe a little bit? Be like, ah. Notice what comes up for you there. It's an interesting first hint. A couple of times in my life, maybe more than a couple, I've had trouble taking in feedback that was given to me. I started getting defensive right then and there. I didn't like hearing that. Sometimes I felt it was not justified, and then I would get defensive. Sometimes it would be on point, and because I didn't like that, I got defensive. Has that ever been the case for you? No? Am I the only one? Know that it's completely normal. It's okay. It's okay. We all do it. We do get defensive. And so the question is there a way how we can better communicate around feedback that would make it easier to accept, that would enable us to give feedback in a way that is easier to accept? So take a minute to reflect upon when was the last time or the last couple of times that you have given feedback, and in which way you set the stage for that. Was it a good timing? Was it a good context? And then take a minute to reflect upon what were a couple of the last times that you received feedback. Was that a well set up context for doing so? And did that make it easier or harder to accept and to take in? And the biggest and best tool that I've learned in the past few years on giving and receiving feedback was from Marshall B. Rosenbaum. He's a communication specialist from the US, and he wrote a book titled Nonviolent Communication. And it's all about how can we have difficult conversations in a way that we don't feel the need for getting defensive. And that's this week's invitation to practice. So after you've taken some time to reflect on, hey, how's this been going in the past on the giving end as well as on the receiving end? Like, how can we set the stage really well for first feedback in the first place? Then the invitation is, can we break down our feedback in a way that makes it easy to receive and understandable? And the way how Marshall B. Rosenbaum does that is to structure feedback into 4 parts, especially around the things that we don't like. And those 4 parts are, first, an observation of a factual situation. Say you and I live together and you come home and my dirty socks are all over the place. Not so nice. So the observation would be, hey Birgit, I just got home and I see that there are dirty socks next to the couch and then in the bathroom and then a third pair in the hallway. So that's the factual observation. So instead of stating, Birgit, your dirty socks are all over the place, you would be very specific about this observation. The second piece, the impact that that has on you. Birgit, to me, this feels like I'm coming home to a dirty place, to a stinky place, to a place that I don't really want to be at. I don't like my house to look like that. So that's the impact that it has on you. Then the third piece is the need that you have. And it's very important to own that impression, that this is the impression it has on you, not our house is therefore completely dirty, making the differentiation that for me, it feels like I'm coming home to a dirty house. Third piece, what is your underlying need? I have a need for feeling that we live in a clean place, that it's tidy, that it smells good. So that is also something that you would then completely own. This is a need that I have. And then the fourth one is to make a very specific request. So instead of requesting, can you please never ever leave your socks laying around? A very specific request would be, hey, can you pick up those 3 pairs of socks and either put them in your corner, in your room, or into the laundry basket? And that is feedback that would be a lot more easy to digest for me than, let's make up a few alternatives. If you were coming home, looking around, huffing and puffing and not telling me anything, and I would have to guess. Or if you were to exclaim that I always leave my stuff all over the place in my dirty laundry. So do you feel the difference in between those? By making it very specific, the observation, by clarifying the impact that it has on you, and by then making very specific requests for me and clarifying your underlying need. So sometimes that takes a little bit of digging to even understand what is my own underlying need. And therefore, taking a minute to sort that and to clarify that for myself before I give feedback can be super helpful. And I hope that this communication pattern helps you. It has certainly helped me address issues around communication a lot. I mean, the dirty socks example is fairly straightforward and simple. I get that. Often, when I have to communicate something that I know is the story that's going on in my head, I will also name that. This is something I learned from Brené Brown. I will say, hey, this is what happened. The story that I'm making up around this is blah, blah, blah. And then I can own that that's the story that I'm running in my head and that may or may not be true. Have a beautiful week. Leave me your feedback. Subscribe to the channel. I love you. Take good care of yourself.